Well, we still don't have a Speaker of the House, which means we kind of don't really have a House. It's an historic occurrence. It hasn't happened in more than 100 years now.
We have a lot of people that are Congresswoman or Congressman-elect.
A lot of hyphens.
Nothing right now. Okay, so to explain what is the chaos at the Capitol, we bring in our 9 News Republican political analyst, Kelly Maher. I know this is not something you love talking about. But for those that aren't,
chaos on the right?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
What?
It's my favorite.
There are a lot of folks that aren't closely watching this.
Right.
People in political circles, they're just with the popcorn, like, oh my.
What is happening?
So to those that aren't closely watching, what the heck is going on and what does this mean?
Very good question. So the first thing that people do when they go to Washington is they elect their leadership. Kevin McCarthy was the presumed Speaker of the House. He was likely to be Speaker of the House. However, there are a group of Republicans who have been opposing him, and he has been unable to get the votes to secure the speakership. And so they are continuing votes. I think as of the time I walked in here, they were on their 10th vote to try to secure a speakership. He is conceding certain points right now to those minority congresspeople and congresspeople-elect to try to figure out some kind of compromise, and thus far has been unable to do so.
Well, let's talk about Lauren Boebert then.
Yes.
Because the Colorado Congresswoman, who barely survived her re-election campaign, is certainly wielding a lot of power right now, it seems, on the floor right now. She is one of those 20 or so that are holding up things in the Republican Party. To some, it's surprising because we expected maybe a more moderate, to some extent, Lauren Boebert. At least that's what she was saying. That's not what we're seeing right now.
Look, she's certainly making a splash. She ran originally as being the AOC of the right? And from her perspective, although it would not necessarily be my approach, I think the argument she can make is that the most impactful policy vote that you make is that for leadership, right? Like when you think about it, the personnel is the policy. The speaker holds a lot of power, particularly given the rules and the way that the House and Congress is structured. So she can come back and make an argument, look, this is the policy. I want to take power away from this concentration in leadership and I want to redistribute it down to members of Congress. I think that ultimately the question is how it looks to normal voters who don't pay attention to this the same way we do. And it kind of looks like a clown car circus.
Not a great look.
No, it's not a great look. And it looks somewhat chaotic.
So the two endings we're hearing about is one, this goes on for a month. The other is that a deal is finally made and that Speaker-elect presumed McCarthy gives away.
Or Scalise, or Elise Stefanik.
Right.
Yeah.
No, there are other people who could step in, but
Right.
McCarthy continues to try to make the deal to get some of these people to come on over and put them over the top. And in doing so is surrendering the power, as you talked about.
Yeah, and look, ultimately, one of those things is likely to happen. I think the longest historically it's ever gone is 3 months. So hopefully we're not there. But I mean, ultimately, these are real big systemic questions about the power that is concentrated in Washington. I think the most important thing that people aren't talking about as much is the fact that Donald Trump came out and called on his people to vote for McCarthy, and they largely ignored him. And the fact that Lauren Boebert, who at one time ran for that seat in her primary as a Trump sycophant, just completely ignored everything that he said and went ahead and did it anyway.
That speaks about him, though.
It speaks about him and his current power within the Republican Party. It's definitely a restructuring.
And what that means for her down the road, too, because,
yeah,
you know.
I mean, she could end up with a primary, I think, likely.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
There is so much more to talk to you about. I think this vote's going to go on. So with Groundhog Day, we'll invite you back every time.
I'll just like camp out.
Okay, yeah. We got a cot or something back here.
Yeah, I'll follow the cows down the road.
Yes, you like all those animals.
I
That's
do.
good.
Yeah,
okay,
it's perfect.
All right, Kelly.
We'll see what changes, because we're waiting for something to change. Kelly, it's great to see you again. Thanks for coming in.
So good. Thank you for having
coming
me.
in.